allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First thing would be to approve the minutes. I'm looking, there's two sets.
Also move to approve the October 28th minutes.
All second.
John has moved, Tim has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0, Fred not with us today.
Go ahead and so move November 2nd also, Mr. Chairman.
John has moved on November 2nd.
All second.
Tim has seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
4-0. Hospital board.
This is the last one, the
Pardon me?
last one.
Is the last one?
Mhm.
Any conversation?
I'll move to reappoint Joanna Hubbard for one more term.
I'll second that.
Always moved. Any further discussion? So Bob has moved, Don has seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Motion passes 3-1.
Mr. Chairman, while we're on this subject, I would think we probably need to, every time we have a board position come up, everyone, whether you're up for reappointment or not, fill out an application, because we're going to have some new members. Some people we don't know. So I noticed at times, and here a while back, we weren't aware that some of the people that were up even wanted to be reappointed until we got here. So if we just make it a policy that everyone fills out an application now, and it might take it away and give us a chance to look at other names also.
I guess I'd have to agree with you on that, Bob, because, I mean, not that Joanne probably isn't qualified. But again, I don't know her I've seen Adam's application and he'd asked me about being a board member, so probably not a bad idea, so. That'd be the only reason I didn't vote for her, but I'm just gonna shoot for Adam, so anyway.
She's a fantastic lady. She's in the school district there, in Coffee County for 20-some years. She's done a fantastic job.
Again, I have no doubt that she's probably not qualified, because I did not know her. So.
I think Bob is correct, though. I think whether you're an incumbent or whether you're not, it wouldn't be a bad idea to just require all of them
That way at
to
least.
fill out a one-page application. That way we all know a little bit more about it.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
I can do that.
Thank you. So, we have a hearing? Wait around? Or does he have to be here?
Maybe Heidi.
Heidi? Nope, there's Heidi. I didn't see you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I didn't know if he had to be here or not, the only reason I asked.
Wait,
Yes,
he hasn't been here the last couple of hearings you guys had, but if you want him here,
I just,
have him here.
we don't have them all that often, so forgive me if I'll practice a little bit, but I really you kind of lead us in this, so to speak, so.
You do, yes, sir.
So we have to basically recess as a board of commissioners.
Yeah.
So we'll recess as board of commissioners at 9:05. For this hearing. Is that correct?
Actually, you moved to enter into the public hearing.
My apologies, we'll enter into public hearing at 9:05.
For case number SU 2020-04.
Yes, sorry, I was busy reading, trying to prepare myself. So, agenda number 1, public hearing, case number SU 2020-04. We got a grain bunker, including sale of related items such as corn.
Who's moving to enter into that public hearing?
Pardon me?
Who's moving to enter into that public hearing?
Also move to enter public hearing.
Donna's moved
All second.
and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 4-0. So we'd like to welcome everybody interested in this hearing and lay out a few ground rules. It's important to be present, present any information or views that you have as evidence at this hearing. So that uninformed,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
this is the one you read off of,
Okay.
not the planning board one.
my apologies,
That's
my apologies.
that's okay.
Start on page 2, correct, Heidi?
Yes, disqualifications.
Okay. Before we proceed with the hearing, I'll ask the governing body members if any of them intend to disqualify themselves from participating in this case because they or their relatives own property in the official notification area or they have conflict of interest or a particular bias in this matter. None of the above. So I declare that we have a quorum of 4 present for consideration of this case. Has the county clerk received any protest petitions?
No, I'm not.
I asked the governing body members if they received all copies of the unapproved minutes of the planning board meeting for October 21st, 2020, which summarizes the hearing on these cases, on this case.
Yes.
Having determined that the members have received minutes of the planning board meeting, we will proceed with the case. The governing body will first hear from the zoning administrator, then the applicant and members of the public will be asked if there is any new information on this case. Commission members may choose to ask questions of the zoning administrator, the applicant, county staff, and the public. I call on our zoning administrator to provide us with a report on the case and the recommendations of the planning board.
So I'm just gonna briefly go through some of the pages in the book, just highlighting different portions of what the board had gone through that night. So I'm in the zoning administrators tab, if you guys were wanting to know where I'm at, on just showing you the map of the location, the ag map, the second page. Just showing how close it is to the city limits of Leroy. It's not in the city limits, it's just right on the outside right there. Then the next page shows, of course, in writing what the adjacent zoning and existing land uses actually are on the map. Then it gives the background information that the board heard, and then it goes into the factors and findings that the board had discussed and decided on for this case, the next couple of pages.
Is that in City of Leroy's jurisdiction?
City of Leroy does not have extraterritorial zoning,
Okay.
so it is not. It would default to us. On page 6 of the report there, they actually did place 2 conditions for recognition for approval. So those 2 conditions there are what they placed on this case. And then the correspondence tab, it just shows more pictures of the site of how it looked on the October 13th, a couple of days before the hearing. I won't go over those. Correspondence from Maryland talking about sanitation, then correspondence I had with county citizens was also in there. Then we got the notices that were made, the maps, the contour map, the area notification map, and I will just note in the area notification map, since it was near the city limits, we also had to go 200 feet into the city to notify as well. We don't usually have to do that because normally it's not around the city, but I just want to let you know we had to do that this time as well. That's an unusual thing for us. Normally it's right out in the middle of the county and it's just 1,000 feet. So that's why there's 2 landowner lists and 2 maps. And the last page is going to be your application that they're requesting for the grain bunker, including the sale for the items such as grain. So the board did a motion for approval for you guys. That is all I have.
Thank you for your presentation. Are there any questions for Heidi from the governing body?
I see Jamie's here. This is classified as temporary storage, as I understand it. Do you have to reapply for this permit every year? Because it is temporary.
If I can elaborate on that. So one of the conditions was if they decide not to use the bunker for a certain period of time, they would have to reapply for a special use. But as I heard at the hearing, and they can expand more on this, that they're going to use it this year and then they may not use it next year. So if they don't use it, then it would go away and they'd have to reapply before they use it again, would be the answer. So we were hoping they wouldn't have to reapply with that condition, keeping it valid like we've done with other cases to keep the validity of the permit valid. So.
I didn't know how the state drain inspection department looked at something classified as temporary storage. So if it's not going to be used next year, does it have to be totally dismantled?
No.
Okay.
No more questions? Are there any written communications or petitions from the public?
No, we have not received any.
Does the applicant wish to present any new information?
Nothing new. I mean, I can explain the process if you like me to.
Well, I just used the word new because it's on there, so, but if you wish to come up and make a presentation, I will not
Sure, I can.
deny you from that.
Morning, Jamie.
Good morning. My name is Jamie Perry. I'm the assistant manager of Leroy Co-op. Started back in 2016. Harvest has gotten so big and comes in so fast that it's just not feasible to build permanent storage to handle it all. So back in 2016, we started putting roughly 500,000 bushel of corn in grain bags. And to do that, we was having to run 1,000, 1,500 bushel grain carts through the town of Leroy, down alleys. And we was tearing up alleys and streets, and we did it in 16, we did it again in 18, and then 20 was coming up, and it looked like we was gonna have another big harvest. So rather than doing that, the board decided to look into a bunker, and the last week of July, they decided to purchase the bunker. And with the bunker, we can have the semis and trucks that bring the grain to the co-op, they can go out there and dump. So we don't have to use farmers and their grain carts to put it in there, which this year, with it being dry like it was, we had a hard time getting those guys to come in because they was using them in the field. There was some concerns with the dirt with the road dust. This year we tried taking our water trucks out and watering it down, and it works for just a little while and then goes away. I have talked to Jeff Byer about, and he's supposed to be giving me the number of the people that do the dust control on the roads. And if we use it next year, we're going to try that, which we'll probably start cleaning it out here in 2 to 2.5 months. And whenever we start doing that, we're going to put that down to try and help control the dust. Other than that, that's all I have to say.
Anybody have any questions?
I think Jenny brought up the dust issue, and being on a gravel road like that, it's packed good, but, might not be a bad idea to even look at chip and seal it sometime.
Right.
If the base is actually there to
Right.
handle that.
Yeah.
Because the trucks are heavy and they're all 85,000 pounds. So I know I had a call or two and visit with the current general manager as well as Jamie on the dust control. And they watered it down and kept it watered down and pretty well eliminated the dust issue. And, but we probably need to take some steps to make that a little more permanent, so.
I thought we would try the dust control first, and if that didn't work, then we would have to check in and chip and seal.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone from the public wish to respond? No one from the public wishes to respond. Heidi, you have something else you wish to add?
No, I just come back up here to.
Okay. All right. Well, there's nobody from the public responding. Skip all that. Assuming the governing body has received all the information they need in this case, I will outline the choices provided under the state statutes for governing body action. Excuse me. So we just need to go ahead and vote.
Yes, someone will just decide which one they'd like to do. The resolution number is 862.
8862.
862.
Mr. Chairman, I so move to approve the application and approve the resolution for 862.
Is that correct? Yes. So Don has moved,
All second.
Tim has seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Here's two. resolutions to sign.
Down at the bottom, would you, mind reading closing remarks so you can finish the case for us?
Okay. We can skip all this other up here, correct?
Yep, you skip all that, you go down to for approval and to read there.
So closing remarks for approval persons by the final decision of the governing body on this matter have 30 days after effectuating resolution is published in which to appeal to district court. Thank everybody for participating in this hearing. You are welcome to stay for the remainder of our meeting.
He's going to move to close the public hearing.
And so we need to move to close this public hearing.
So moved.
Don's moved. I'll second. All in favor? Aye. 4-0.
Okay.
We need 9 on that, 9:21. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Well, we have a warning at 9:30, and we're running a little bit ahead.
Good morning. Morning.
Morning.
Construction zone. Okay, no road permits, no zoning permits. We have the landfill totals. We had 2 call-outs, one on Dobbin Lane near 16th Lane, tree down. That was Sunday, and then over on 27th, on a stop sign down, near Old Highway 50. 27th Road. Also, we had damage to private property last week. What it amounted to is we had a motor blade as it was doing work on the gravel road. There was a park trailer, actually grain trailer, and the mow board hit the wheel, and so it damaged the rim of the wheel. And so to report accident, expecting $1,000. Construction zone, for the most part, it's the same as last week. Bridge crews doing some ditching work, entrances countywide. Still working down the Mathias Lake area, making some progress down there if you get a chance to go out and take a look. Also patching countywide with the weather that we're having, up to now. And boom mowing countywide. And so that's what I have for construction zone. There was one question, basically like on our chip seal road where we fog seal. So just information, as we chip seal a road, the key word is seal. And so what you're doing is you're putting down oil on the road and you're maintaining the road as far as cracks and different things like that. You're putting the additive on top of it to give you the skid resistance, the traction that you're going to need for the traveling public. And then what we do, and basically that chip seal oil wicks up about 60% of the rock. So if the rock is 3/8 of an inch, it's going to wick up about 60% of 3/8 of an inch. And then what we do is we fog seal it. And so as we fog seal, what that does is adds more oil. So we have more of the rock that's being basically embedded into the oil. But as you saw too, here a couple weeks ago, we had the snow. So with the snow, when we had the snow plows out, the plows actually, all the high spots on the road, is plows actually knocked the tops of that rock off. So now what you see is actually white areas where the plows have knocked the rock, tops of the rock off. But eventually, just due to traffic, due to basically the oils on the road, the oils on the tires and such as that, that will actually darken back up. But after the plows have been out a couple times, what you also find too, by doing what we do, doing the chip seal, doing the fog seal on top of it, is actually it will look like a hot mix asphalt road. I mean, at that point, that rock is embedded. It's not coming out. The success that we've had with the fog seals is the rock doesn't come out because we're very aggressive on our snow and ice removal. And so that's one of the positives we've had and successes that we've had with fog seal. So just information more than anything else. Last week we tabled a motion. We're still working on, Wade and I are still working on that. One of the questions was, Fred had asked, well, what does KDOT do? What they have is what they call a qualifications-based selection. And so that's what KDOT basically works on. And what they'll do is they'll get a list of consultants, and in this list is fairly long. And they'll basically go through and say, okay, what you can and can't do. And that'll be their list that they'll draw from when they have projects. We kind of do the same thing. Is I have basically worked a list, which is the 3 regional consultants we talked about before. And so my qualification-based interviewing process is saying, these are the 3 that works best for us. So at this point, we're still working on it. Wade and I had discussed it a little bit here last week, but we're still working on it. So that's my report.
I did go out and check on your Defiance Lakes project. We haven't started working on any of the earthwork though, just the bridges.
Well, actually, the earthwork that you're seeing, if you go over by Quail, you'll find some work. Oxen, if you go over by Oxen, you'll find the work over there. That's the ditching that we're doing first. Then you will find the ditching that we connect the structures is next on the list.
Okay.
But you've had some great weather to get started on projects like that, so it'd be nice to see some of the work done.
We are actually, as I say, if you go over on Oxen, that's where you'll see earthwork. And then as you see too, over on Natives where we have the structures put in place.
Yeah, I was there, seen the structure.
But yeah, I mean, you only have, for that whole section, you only have 7 feet in that whole 1.5 miles, 2 miles stretch. I mean, the percent is less than half an inch in 100 feet as far as drop. It's virtually flat in that area. Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you, Wayne.
Okay,
Thank you.
right.
Thanks.
I have Brad coming on down
What's
to
that?
the ballot audit precinct drawing.
Yeah, we might as well.
I gotta get a copy.
That's not me.
You have anything to share with us, Tom? I just usually like.
Good morning, all.
Morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, YouTube land. We're all on there. So, I'd just like the commission to know that, December 6th through the 18th, I'll be going to the new sheriff's school out of Hutchinson for 2 weeks. Every new sheriff in the state of Kansas must attend, by state statute. And you get to pay me. Thank you. So I have reached out to Sheriff Rogers. Last Friday I came in and spoke to him. He's gonna have a vehicle for me to drive. We've set down a date that we're gonna talk about his budget for 2021, what he expects, what some of his desires were to go into 2021. And so I'll be coming over here to transition in sometime in mid-December. But I just want to let you know that I'd like to be on the agenda. Get it sent to me,
Oh, sure.
and my email is set back up again, the top of the county. because I'd like to attend if I feel it's necessary to do that. And I just felt it was necessary that I come here today to, again, introduce myself. I know everybody knows me here, but just let you know what's happening. If you guys have any questions, if not, I will probably head to Garnett where I'm employed and go back to work. Any questions?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Welcome
Appreciate
aboard.
you coming.
Thank you. Very happy to be back, excited to be back. We've got a great team here that's already here that, well experienced and ready to hit the ground running. So excited to be here. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Okay.
You too.
See you
Thank you
tomorrow.
very much. See you. Hey, Greg. All right.
So we're gonna hear from Mr. Jones.
Here for me. I'm just back to have you draw a precinct name again for our ballot audit because my boss is on the ballot. I don't know if you guys want to see a copy of this. This thing where we take a sample of our precinct with contested races. And the Secretary of State has picked which races we'll be doing. And we just have to pick the precinct. They drew the presidential one. And we didn't have a contested state level race. But then the only local one was the county clerk race. So those will be the three races that we audit. We have a board come in that's bipartisan and sworn and trained, and they go through and they compare the ballots in the system to what our count was on election night. So they go through and look at every ballot and tally the votes in there in that precinct, and all we need for you to do is to select the precinct and then sign off that, like we did before, saying that we picked the precinct. And Tom, if you would want to do that or designate someone to do it, I'll just got a bunch of slips in there with various precinct names. Pick one. Mr. Chairman picked Avon Township, that was box. So that's the township we'll audit with the Avon Township.
The audit's tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Sign there saying you picked Avon. And you sign off on that also, and I'll get back to work, unless you have any questions for me.
So, because the last time this happened, somebody stopped me and said, how do we know all the townships are in the box? And I'm not saying they're not.
All of the townships are not in the box. We have selected representative ones. There are 5 townships from 3 different voting places in the box.
So, just because that was asked last
Okay,
time.
well, we picked smaller ones because we have a 3-person board that has to go through these. And they have to count every ballot from that race. And we put 5 of the smaller ones from 3 different places so they can finish. We have to finish this tomorrow, and then Wednesday's a holiday. And we have to have it all report to the Secretary of State 48 hours before our canvas, which is scheduled Monday morning. So that leaves us Thursday and Friday.
Sure.
We lost one of our board members to becoming a COVID caretaker. But we've got them trained, they're Democrat and Republican both, and they do a great job, and they're not somebody we're pushing around.
I just mentioned it to answer the questions before they begin.
Right, that is the answer. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Right. Thank you very much.
You want Connie?
I don't know, may as well.
No, but let's go. Let's go with it, Tom.
Okay, all right.
We're running right along, I'll keep running.
Yeah, let's go with it.
Well, we got some dead time. Everybody been reading applications for emergency management.
I went through both, all 7 of them twice, and Selectmen this morning. I asked for a job description. I wasn't sure I'd seen one to see what our job description, if they met the qualifications of it. Although that's probably gonna change, or possibly change here in the near future.
I know I had the opportunity to go through all 7 myself. Do we need to wait till next Monday to act on this?
You know, I don't know what everybody's thoughts are. We received 7. Do we narrow that down to what we feel like the 3 or 4 are and take a look at them? I've got mine marked. And I don't have any idea where the rest of the commission's looking at. But I think we need to proceed ahead as quickly as we can, but do it timely also. So I don't know what everybody else's thoughts are. This is an important position that needs to be filled, and we have the responsibility to evaluate all the applicants the best we can, and whether we interview 3 or 4 for all 7. My thought is probably we could do 3 or 4. And how we pick those 3 or 4, do we do it in an open session or do we go to executive meeting? To do that, I'm not real sure what this procedures are in this process.
As on economic development, we went into executive session and discussed it. I don't know if anybody's prepared to do so, I guess is what I'm asking today. And do we have the time?
I've got mine down, narrowed down.
I got mine.
Mine are narrowed down as well. Fred's not here, but. I guess I'll ask Reg if you're willing to go into executive session after we visit with Connie to discuss it a little bit.
I think we decided last week we would wait 2 weeks before we did it, give everybody an opportunity. I have no reason to change that idea.
Did you not have the opportunity to look over all your 7? I guess that's what.
That's not what I said. I said we decided to go wait 2 weeks before I made the decision. I think especially with Fred being gone, we probably should stick to that.
The comment was made last week.
It was. But
Yeah, wait 2 weeks, and with Fred being gone, it probably, if at all possible, hopefully Fred will be with us next week. I think it'd be a plus to have all 5 of us on board for this position.
Canada agree.
Hey, Connie.
Fine.
Good morning. I have 2 vehicles that are around 100,000 miles, and one of them has check engine light on. And I had rolled some money over from last year into the equipment reserve. And then I have some money from this year. I was wondering if I could buy 2 mid-sized 2-wheel drive pickups to replace the 2 I have. I put approximately 40,000 in equipment reserve last year, and I have approximately 24,000 from this year's budget to use.
So you have 60,000. That covered it.
I was wondering if it was good.
You're talking about purchasing new vehicles, Connie,
Yes,
or
the
something?
vehicle I have is 2004 and 2005, and one has got a check engine light on it, they've both got over 100,000 miles, I just would like to replace them if I could.
Pickups, you feel like be a better choice than vans or SUVs or whatever you want to call them?
Pickups, yes. Driving on the country roads and stuff, I think it would just be, that's what we've always had before, so I just was gonna stick with that.
You got like Ranger pickups or something like that, small
The
pickups.
smaller Colorado.
That's what more than 60,000 to buy 2.
Yeah,
Other than the check engine light, are you having any problems with any of them?
we're having some issues, mainly just the check engine. Just need to keep an eye on them, just to make sure that they're running okay.
That could be a very simple sensor of some kind.
But since they were getting so many miles on my phone, and we'd have them, so I thought I'd try to trade them out.
me, 100,000 is a good time to trade one out, and trade one out. She's asking permission to take bids, not actually purchasing at this point in time, so it's in her, somewhat of your budget.
Like I mentioned last week, I think it's a good program to have a rotational program for vehicles. Of course, you've only got 2 vehicles, where the county got
Right.
road and bridge, and sheriff's department got a lot more.
You've got 3, don't you?
Yes, plus the SUV.
But, okay, you got 3, okay.
I don't have a problem seeking bids. See how it comes out.
And you're going to bid with trade-in, without trade-in?
Yes.
Can you do it both ways?
Yes, I can.
That it may just be,
Yes.
so we could,
I can do that.
if you would, please.
Anybody object to her seeking bids?
I have no problem with going out and seeking bids. It'd be nice to have 1 vehicle per year, but it sounds like both of them have got a lot of miles on them, and probably something that takes service, but,
The age of both of them is my concern.
I'm sorry.
The age of both of them is my concern. They're getting pretty old.
Okay, upon the recommendation of the county appraiser, move to approve the request to solicit formal bids for 2 mid-sized pickups. Funds to be paid from the equipment reserve fund. I so move.
I'll second.
Tim seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 4-0. Round table. Do you want to text Wade, see if he's got something for round table for me, please? Angie, do you have anything? Tim?
Not right now. Wayne kind of addressed my concern.
Again, Fred's not with us.
No.
Nothing.
Just to give everybody a quick update, Jared Ekton was in here about the waterway issue on Emmer Lane, there for Gridley. He called me here 10 days ago and asked me to come over and take a look. And I did go over and take a look. Technically, probably not gonna change anything on the drainage issue, the waterway. The only plus side to it is in visiting with Jared visited with Robert at NRC. They have 70% funding available starting January 1st. So this project is gonna be pushed back a little bit, whether it's gonna change anything in the format for it. And I should have mentioned when Wayne was here, but I talked to Wayne the other night at the Leroy City Council meeting and told him that I'd visit with Jared. So sometime here in the next, 4 or 5 weeks, or maybe even the first week of January, we'll have a little bit more idea. The projected cost of putting that waterway in by NRC is $1,500. And so 30% of that's $450 would be Jared's responsibility. So as we get a little bit more information, we'll just kind of bring everybody up to date. So there may be a slight change in what we decided here 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Hear from Wade yet?
No.
When Wade brought up the vacation hours and what we're gonna do with it, I don't know if anybody thought about it much. I got no problem with rolling them over. I'll use them 6 months after first year. For me, it's on, like you expressed, might use it 1 year anyway, so at least they have that option. I know they don't always.
My thought is, I'd say the majority of them will probably get a lot of it used up here between year end and the 2 departments that had the majority of the hours was, of course, the road and bridge and the sheriff's department. And hopefully they can work to get a lot of those hours taken and out of the way. So, like I said, I'll support whatever the commission comes up with. And 6 months is probably a reasonable time for them to get it cleaned up. But I think we also need to, our employees also need to know this is a one-time deal. May or may not happen down the road unless there's something another issue comes up that's as serious as what this pandemic is. So,
I can understand some people's reluctance to go on a trip, so, I mean, like you said, it's a one-time deal. So, yes, I understand on that.
I like the idea of giving them 6 months.
Bob?
I have no problem with it. I just don't want people who just decide they want to carry them over to be able to carry them over.
And that's like what Don said, as long as they realize it's a one-time deal. Yeah, I agree. So I do have a motion for the 2020 Coronavirus Relief Fund Memorandum of Agreement, round 5. Upon the recommendation of the interim emergency management director with approval from the Coronavirus Relief Task Force, move to authorize and direct the chairman to sign the memorandums of agreement between Coffee County and approved recipient of the Coronavirus Relief Task Force grant funds. Those recipients are COF Training Services, Taylor RT, Sling Inc. Sling Inc. got 4,000 and COF 13,404.18. FYI. So I will move. Need a second.
All second.
Tim, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. So we've been around. It's your turn.
So, update on a couple things. Several weeks ago, I was requested to look into on-call pay. I'm still investigating and looking into that. I actually was just talking with Lindsay about what the structure of how her employees are staggered out, what their on-call situation looks like. So I have an update. The law related to on-call pay is sort of where I'm making sure that, in my opinion, no mistakes are made. So when I put a proposed policy together in reference to that, I've looked at all the options. So same thing with vacation pay. I hope to have that proposed policy change presented to you with the on-call pay next week. The next topic, I don't remember how long ago, but within the last several months, I believe it was Don who asked what's happening with the tax sale. I believe the treasurer has received calls, I've received calls, and the calls that I received that led me to move a little more expeditiously is last week or the week before, I received a call, spoke with an individual, I don't remember where they were from, but they indicated that they were told that I called off the tax sale. So obviously, I did not call off the tax sale. In fact, I was surprised to hear that I had had any type of influence over the tax sale. The last conversation we had here was, and I believe it was Don, wanted to know what the options were, especially with COVID moving forward. And I think that's the only thing I remember being brought up about the tax sale, to look into it. And when that topic surfaced, I indicated at that time that we needed to contact Glenda Osterman and see what was happening, because I'm sure COVID, I believe I stated at the time that COVID had impacted how a tax sale proceeding would move forward, and I needed to know what they planned on doing before I could present anything.
That's the way I remembered it.
So just for clarification, I've not called off the tax sale. The board's not called off the tax sale. COVID has impacted the tax sale, but that's where we are, just to clear up any misinformation that may be out there. With that being said, I contacted Glenda Osterbrand. I indicated that that was the information that was relayed to me. They immediately responded, and they did indicate that COVID has impacted tax sales all across the state that they're involved in, but they have recently had several tax sales with social distancing in mind, and I believe the most recent one, at least at the time I talked to them, was Sedgwick County, where they had 220 some bidders. So, but they had to catch up. COVID did delay things. It created some creativity on their part to move forward. And I mentioned that to say, for the Coffee County tax sale, we've moved into an area where there's now 2 different avenues of attack to move forward. I'm going to let them present, and I've requested that they be placed on the agenda for next Monday at 10 o'clock. They will present over the
Zoom.
Starlink. Brad's already set it up. They've already got their invites. They've already cleared their calendars. And instead of me trying to parrot what they're going to present to you, I think that's the best way to move forward. So there are 2 options, and I think it's important that they present it so you know what the options are. It's done in an open forum, and then you decide how to move forward from there. So,
I know in visiting with Karen here last week, we started out with 65 or 70 parcels, and I don't recall the exact number, but it's down, it's been addressed pretty heavily, pretty hard. It's down to 15 or 16 parcels right now. It's all, so it'll be good to see the different options that they will present to us and the direction that we need to go in the near future.
right. And I think they have some good ideas on how to move forward with that, with the statement and information you presented in mind, because the numbers have decreased significantly from where it originally started out, but we also have a timeline issue where other properties may now be available, I think, post-September to be pulled into that net, I guess is the best way to say it. So they can explain that. I will say that they indicated that ideally what they would recommend, and hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn, I'm putting words in their mouth, but having a tax sale in the spring of 2021 is going to be something that I think they'll bring up next week. Any questions on any of those things? Okay. The last thing I have is I just need to request the commission recess into executive session, consultation with the county counselor to discuss potential county litigation for matters deemed privileged under the attorney-client relationship exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act, KSA 754319B2, and at 10 minutes, myself and the board.
So
Don's moved.
All second.
Tim seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Let's call it, we're going at 10. And we'll come out at 10.
10:55. What you say?
So we'll go in at 10 and come out at 10:10. He said 10 minutes, correct?
10 minutes.
I'm giving you a few minutes to stop off on your way.
I think that's important.
Well, sometimes.
Sometimes it's very important.
How's it going? Good. I did. I got to go see my grandkids. So, spent the weekend with them. Got that one. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Had, my fourth one was born a month ago. So, I was able to go see him for the first time. So, it was a good time. It was a good time.
Depends what it is. He can go out and do some things as long as it's not interactive with public. As long as he stays away from public buildings. Yeah. Well, they're not 100% sure. They're going to treat him as if he's something back. So, since he anyway, yeah. Well, what I would do is go ahead and call Stephen, and then, because I told him, I said, if something that you can't do, let me know, so we can get it taken care of. But most things he should be able to do. Should be as far as I can, something, but you can't run this project. I think he's taking it. That's, I think it's how it is.
Are you?
Good. Hello. Hi. Yeah, I like your mess. That's pretty good. My granddaughter did. Are you serious? The other side's got turkeys on it. That's cute. And I have one for Christmas. Thank you for my birthday. That's great. Awesome.
I'm trying to figure out how to launch forward to this is access to your access. And I had tried to go hard to look for it, and what I had tried to do, I had not really found it, so. And Becky, well, she just changed over to, I had a cable TV, but she's changed over to where, she's got the TV and she's getting internet. And she's getting YouTube for, YouTube right now, which has, when she wants to watch, however, something's going on. Yeah, I heard a lot of people like, read YouTube. For like 5 years. Yeah. Really? I figure out how to find full episodes of each one. That's why I can find it easily. Yeah. Yeah, I know there's a lot of really good ones. So, Ryan has you in all week, right? Thursday, that's right. Yeah, she has to do that online, and she's got, of course, she changes all her nobody to walk in, however. About time she tries to do everything online and make everything, and then want to talk to her, so it's something you usually do, where you're away from everybody, do your thing, and I'll log them, and say, I think George, he's going to talk there. But
We're all back. Anything else, Wayne? Just an employee and a number of employees that at least need some public acknowledgement and appreciation. So Heidi Harris, what she does on the zoning side of things, and if you sat through any of her zoning hearings, she's very thorough, and she does a very good job for the county. Her presentations are very thorough, and I think she just needs to be commended for her work there. The second area, and this is I can't name all the members of the Coffee County jail staff, but they are some pretty unsung heroes in Coffee County for what they do, the environment that they work in, day in and day out, the type of situations that they're responsible for, that majority of the members of the public have no idea. And it's not an easy job, it's a thankless job, and I just think they need to be commended, not only by the people who work within Coffee County, but on the outside as well, because that job takes a lot out of you. And I've watched it, I've witnessed it, and they come in and day out, they do their jobs, they don't complain, and nor should they. They're getting paid to do a job, but it's not an easy job, not an easy job at all whatsoever. So, and COVID has significantly impacted them and how they operate and how they handle business within the Coffee County Jail, and then transporting to other jails when our jail is full, dealing with cases where people have significant mental health issues. And when I say significant mental health issues, that's an issue that our jail staff deals with on a regular basis. And they don't get paid enough to deal with that, in my opinion. They're not trained as mental health professionals, and they deal with it. So that's really the last thing that I had to say. No, I figured we'll do every other week a quote. Unless you want one every week, I can do that too.
We were starting to really enjoy it.
Okay.
Karen, do you have something to share with us?
I was just upstairs listening into the meeting about in regards to the tax sale. And I had a call in my office that said also that I had put a hold on it. And I have not put a hold on it because I don't have the authority, first of all, to do that. So just to know that we are down to about 11 parcels is about what we're down to.
Got everybody's attention, haven't
I have been trying to catch up with ways to discuss it with him. The 2016 taxes are now eligible to become part of the tax sale if you guys so choose to figure out how to add those in or whatever to that.
Well, I was gonna ask if you could just roll those on into the information that I can't remember the name of the firm handling it now, sorry.
Yeah, it would be,
That'll be one of the options that they'll present next week, for sure.
okay, I didn't know they were coming next week.
By videos, I understand it, but
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sure that'll be an option that they'll.
Okay. Okay, well, I just wanted to, like I said, I heard him say that it wasn't, he was, wanted it to be transparent that the commissioners or in his office didn't do it. I want you to know that
You didn't do it either.
I didn't do it either, so somebody wants to stop it, but it's, I feel like we're down to 11.
I would want us to take a look at what kind of value, if those sold, what kind of value are we talking about putting back on the tax roll as compared to, do we want to include that 2016? Technically, we could add more than that because commercial property only has to be 2 years old. So if there was any commercial property that was even the 17, the commercial property could go in there, and if there is vacant lots, those can be added in after a year. So 2018s on those could be added in. So technically, there's a lot more properties that could be added into the, or could be, are eligible for a tax sale also, is what I'm saying. So anyway, just to give you a heads up that, yeah, that word is going around, it's coming to my office too, but don't know where it's coming from.
So as far as these additional ones, is that something we should be passing off to?
Well, so just maybe to help, when I spoke with Michelle of Clint Osterman last week, she indicated this option and exactly what Karen's mentioning is, that's part of the net that I was talking about, where, and procedurally, I'm not exactly sure how it works, but if I understand correctly, because there's a petition on file, it would require an amended petition to be filed. And since there's already something in action before the court, then you can basically cast that net and bring these eligible properties into the current tax sale.
Okay.
And that's why, if that occurs, then you can have the tax sale in the spring. The thing that would have to occur between now and then, if that is what the board decides, is additional title work, because all the title work's already done on the current properties within the tax sale. So I don't think it's a big deal, but they'll be able to explain procedurally how that works, what the recommendations are. And there's option one, you don't do anything, you go forward with what you have, or option two is you cast the net and you bring in these new eligible properties, as Karen explained. And
We have time for that sometime to cast the net.
yeah, and they'll explain that.
Okay, all right.
They're gonna present, hopefully it'll be both of them. I made sure that they had time on their calendar and then that we had time on our agenda. So they're scheduled 10 o'clock next week.
Is Lisa planning on still being here next week?
23rd.
23rd.
Well, it's been, okay, I'm sorry. I understood it was next week.
It's always the 23rd.
Yeah, it's been my understanding was it was the 23rd from the beginning. She just wanted.
Then the 23rd is what I got written down. Just,
I was gonna say, maybe
sorry about
I misstated the date, but she wanted to have enough time to get everything
23rd is what I got.
put together and then make sure that she's the last thing on the agenda, because I think she indicated it'll be at least an hour, depending on if there's questions or not. And then there will be materials provided to the board prior to the 23rd, maybe that Friday before, is my understanding. So if you don't check your email, or if you need it in some other way or format, so you can kind of have given it the eyeball test over the weekend, make sure you let somebody know. But the 23rd is the day. That's all I have.
Well, with Wade's comment on the jail staff needing recommendation or needing acknowledgement, if you will, as well as Heidi. We go back to the on-call pay for the health department and their extra hours that they put in being on call. And then you want to talk about vacation rollover. Some people wanted to use their vacation, chose to, and some people were reluctant to go on vacation just because of the COVID. We put cost of living raises on hold just because of COVID. So next week, we're going to talk about the on-call pay as well as vacation rollover. So one more of those for me would be to reinstate that cost of living as a show of appreciation to our employees. That, to me, in my opinion, hindsight's always 20/20. Thinking about it a little longer, we put it off just because we was afraid of a shortfall, if you will, in our taxes, when all reality, I don't see that happening to us, so. Something to think about for next week. Donna?
I don't have anything, just that Wednesday's a holiday and the courthouse will be closed due to Veterans Day.
Anyone else have anything else to add? We will adjourn at 10:22.